to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today bringing you a very exciting showdown between the Gigabyte G1 Gaming GTX 1080, a very powerful graphics card, going up against its new, bigger brother, this Gigabyte Founders Edition GTX 1080 Ti. So yeah, no surprises here that I did this one. I mentioned it in my unboxing video, and we already know which card is going to come out on top in terms of performance, but it'll be interesting to see by how much. So let's jump straight into it then with the GPUs. So the GTX 1080 features the 16nm GP104 Pascal GPU with 2560 CUDA cores. The 1080 Ti has the 16nm GP102 Pascal GPU from the Titan XP with 3584 CUDA cores, so a big jump up there for the 1080 Ti. So what about speeds? How fast do they go? So the out-of-the-box speed for the GTX 1080, the G1 Gaming, was 2012 megahertz, so that's pretty decent, over 2000 megahertz. And on the Founders Edition 1080 Ti here, it went up to 1860 megahertz. Of course, both these cards have GPU Boost 3.0, so they will boost higher than what they say on their respective boxes. But that's still a pretty good amount out of a Founders Edition card. Now when we see non-reference versions of the 1080 Ti, you'll see that go up to probably around the same, up to around 2000 megahertz, and that's going to, wow, this card is already super powerful, make it even more powerful, so that's quite interesting. And one thing I should just say now is, why am I comparing a Founders Edition, a reference design, to a non-reference design in the G1 Gaming? Well, these were the ones that were available to me, but also not that many people run a Founders Edition GTX 1080 unless you bought them when they first came out. Most people will be running a non-reference GTX 1080, but those people out there might be looking to upgrade to a 1080 Ti, and they may not want to wait around for non-reference models. So that's basically what we're going to be showing in this one, basically kind of like a best case scenario for the 1080 versus the 1080 Ti. Let's move over to TDP then. So 180 watt TDP for the 1080, a 250 watt TDP for the 1080 Ti. No surprise there, same as what we saw on the Titan XP and also the 980 Ti. Let's move over to memory then. So the 1080 has 8 gigabytes of GDDR5X memory at 10,000 megahertz on a 256-bit bus. Very respectable there. That's nothing to gripe at. The 1080's memory was a big selling point for it, and yeah, that is some seriously good memory on that. However, it is outdone by the 1080 Ti, which is coming with 11 gigabytes, turn it up to 11, of GDDR5X at 11,000 megahertz on a 352-bit bus. So even better memory bandwidth coming in for the 1080 Ti, and that's actually faster memory than what you get on the Titan XP also. Now let's go to the coolers then. So the Founders Edition cooler here is pretty much the same one that we got on the 1080. However, they've doubled the size of the vapor chamber, and they said that's to bring down the temperatures a bit more. Will mainly bring down the fan speeds at the same temperature, but we'll talk about temps a bit later on and go over all that. Otherwise, yeah, this is pretty much the same cooler that we've seen quite a few times from a video all the way back to the original Titan. I mean, they've upgraded it, but yeah. So it intakes from this end, shoots the hot air out the rear of your case. Obviously there's no DVI port there, as we talked about in the unboxing, so that lets that hot air get out easier, and has this nice backplate on the back there. So overall, as far as reference coolers go, it's a big favorite among many people, and much better than AMD's reference coolers in the past. The 1080 Ti featuring the G1 cooler here, the Windforce cooler. It's been around for a very long time. Has a nicely designed fans, big heat sinks there. This is a long graphics card, has a nice backplate there also, and this cools very well, and not many people have too many issues with it. It is quite a slim cooler by comparison to the Strix, but it still does a very good job. So yeah, I have no issues with the G1 gaming cooler. Now with all of that said and done, let's jump into the benchmarks and see how these two graphics cards perform and see how much more powerful that 1080 Ti is over the GTX 1080. We're back. So pretty much what we were expecting with these cards. The 1080 Ti is putting out really respectable numbers. On average, it works out to be about 30% higher, sometimes 35%. So yeah, around what Nvidia was claiming, which is quite good that they were very honest with those numbers. And yeah, it's what we would expect. If you're a 1080p gamer though, yeah, both of these cards are going to be super overkill for you. Maybe if you're running like a 144Hz monitor, then maybe. But even then, it's going to be like absolutely ridiculous. But for the 1440p high refresh rate gamers or the 4K gamers like myself, yeah, both these cards are going to do absolutely excellent. But the 1080 Ti does you even better. However, performance isn't everything. What about the temperatures? So obviously, the G1 Gaming has a huge advantage here. It's a lower TDP graphics card, and it also has a nice non-reference big cooler on it. So obviously, it wins. However, the 1080 Ti actually still put up a pretty good showing for a reference design. So this was done in Unigine Valley on the Extreme HD preset. The G1 Gaming GTX 1080 went up to 67 degrees Celsius at 51% fan speed, and the Founders Edition 1080 Ti went to 83 degrees Celsius at 48% fan speed. Now what's interesting is that the 1080 Ti here went up to pretty much the same temperatures as the Founders Edition 1080 I tested a while ago. What was different is that it was at 5% lower fan speed, and this is a hotter running card than the 1080. So that's quite good there. Nvidia managing to bring the fan speed down a little bit with that double-sized vapor chamber, so that was good to see. But as always, if you're someone that's going to be very serious about your overclocking, then you will be wanting to wait for those non-reference models. However, if you're going to be running these guys in SLI, then the Founders Edition is a good one to go for, as you don't have problems with the upper card getting super hot or anything like that, because all the hot air is exhausted out the rear of the case. Which brings us to noise now. So noise-wise, once again, you would expect the G1 Gaming to do better, and of course it did. But yeah, the 1080 Ti also did good here. As I just showed, 5% lower fan speed, that's going to count for a little bit. So this one was done once again in the Unigine Valley benchmark on the Extreme HD preset. I'll show you what the GTX 1080 sounds like first, and then we'll see what the 1080 Ti sounds like. So yeah, 1080 coming in with the lower noise as you would expect. But yeah, both of these cards are very good. Honestly, compared to other non-reference cards, of course the Founders Edition is going to be a bit louder. But if you compare it to reference cards in general, if you guys can remember back to reference 290, 290X cards, boy were they loud. Even the 7970, people would come in the room and think you're running a vacuum cleaner or something. And this is nothing like that at all. So yeah, for a reference design card, the 1080 Ti, noise-wise, still does pretty good. It's just about average, honestly, but it's definitely no vacuum cleaner or hairdryer like some of the reference designs we've seen in the past from AMD. Which brings us now to the conclusion, and what do I make of the GTX 1080 Ti Founders Edition from Gigabyte? So basically, it wins by about 30%. Gives about 30 to 35% higher performance, which is what we were hoping to see. And price-wise, it's coming in at between 30 and 35% more expensive than the GTX 1080. So value for money-wise, they almost are even in terms of you have to pay extra for the percentage you pay extra for the 1080 Ti is the percentage of extra performance you get over the 1080. So who does it appeal to then, and who would I recommend it to? Well, it's going to be for those people who currently have a GTX 1080 who are looking just for more power. You're just wanting something more powerful. You're obviously quite the enthusiast anyway for running such a powerful graphics card, but maybe you're gaming at 1440p, high refresh rate, or 4K, and you're just wanting a bit extra oomph, like another 30% more power. Then yeah, the 1080 Ti is going to be for you. But for you guys out there looking for a value for money graphics card, yeah, you're going to be wanting to look somewhere else, like the 1070 or 1060 in the NVIDIA lineup, or the RX 480 for the AMD lineup. These cards are not particularly good value for money, but they are extremely good in terms of their performance. And so that's who I would say the 1080 Ti appeals to. So someone like me, the ultra enthusiast who's gaming at 4K, who just wants that extra power. Now, I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already. Well, what's that, Teddy? I have the best fans out of any tech channel. Oh, I have to agree, Teddy. You make a good point. You guys are absolutely awesome. I thank you so much for watching my videos and supporting me. It means so much. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.